Hello, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about something that was inspired by a comment that I had on one of my YouTube videos about the carnivore diet and fertility. Now, the carnivore diet is getting a lot of play right now, just in general. People claiming it's curing everything that ails them. And the carnivore diet does seem to have a lot of really good anecdotal evidence to suggest that it's good for fertility, it's good for blood sugar, it's good for all of these different things. So today I want to talk about why the carnivore diet seems to be working for people with fertility issues, and also what it is, because some people are very confused about that, and also if it seems too extreme for you, something that you can try instead that will help garner you the same results in terms of how you feel and also for your fertility. So as a reminder, I'm Bianca, professionally trained chef, fertility, diet, and lifestyle coach, and holistic nutritionist, and I help people get and stay pregnant every single day, and I hope that what you learn in this video does the exact same for you. Let's start with what exactly is the carnivore diet. There are different approaches to the carnivore diet, and it depends on who you ask who thinks what carnivore is. And there's some carnivore purists, and those are people that eat beef, salt, water, and butter. And that is it. So steak, ground beef, they'll have water with electrolytes in it. They will have butter and salt. And that's it. They don't add any other seasonings to their food, no pepper, no herbs, no nothing. This is the strictest version of carnivore, and what I like to refer to as a carnivore cleanse, meaning you cannot eat like this forever. If you eat like this forever, I feel as though you're probably living in the doldrums of the food world. And I also exist as a chef, and I believe that there's pleasure to be derived from food. This is very much just utilitarian. You are eating this because it's food, you are fueling, and that's that. I mean, that's my opinion, obviously. And so when people are saying to me, I want to do the carnivore diet, this is what I suggest to them if they want to be strict for a little while. So maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks of doing this very strict carnivore approach. But it is not forever. It is not sustainable unless, honestly, you have the willpower and fortitude of someone I've never met before. And so this is where you will see significant drops in weight. This is where you will see a lot of your issues potentially clear up because you are removing so much. And I think that is why people are getting such amazing results on the carnivore diet, is because it's not just about what you're eating, it's about what you stop eating. You aren't eating any processed foods. You aren't eating anything with added sugar, added flavors, added colorings. Like there's 4 things that you are consuming. So you are eliminating a lot of things that might irritate you or cause any sort of a cascade of health issues from things you've been eating before. Now, this is one way of doing carnivore. Another way, which is far more inclusive to more diverse foods, is the carnivore diet where you allow yourself beef, chicken, lamb, fish. Pork is kind of, it's iffy for some people. Some people don't like pork. Some people do like pork. But on this type of carnivore, you can absolutely have it. People will have butter. They will have eggs. And that is the less strict version of carnivore. I see this working for people more long-term because there are foods within that, and also full-fat dairy, I forgot to mention. But also within that schematic, you can make a lot of things out of that. Like cottage cheese is the darling of the health food world right now because it can be anything. You can make cottage cheese bread. You can whip it and have like a cottage cheese bowl. You can do so many things with cottage cheese. And so again, this is far more flexible and easier for people to commit to in the long term. I will be full disclosure. I did the carnivore diet and I lost 20 pounds. It was amazing. However, there gets to a point where you might hit a wall and be like, I want something sweet. I want something, more toothsome to me. And we'll talk about that in a second. But this is the second approach to the carnivore diet that I view as more sustainable. So if you are trying to improve your fertility by eating a more animal-based diet, which is what a carnivore diet is, this is one that allows the full spectrum of food. If you like shrimp, you can have it. If you like fish, you can have it. Crab, lobster, lamb, beef, chicken wings, ground chicken, eggs, all kinds of things. So again, there's just more variety, which allows you to persevere within this diet for longer. Now, when you do this diet, you will notice something immediately. You will notice that you don't have as many digestive upsets. And this, I think, shocks a lot of people because many people have been told forever that your IBS is being made worse by you eating meat. Your PCOS is being worse by you eating meat. And it's actually all of the other things that you are doing around your meat eating that has likely caused you some issues, unless you inherently have an issue digesting meat. Meat is not the villain that we have been conditioned to believe it is. It's propaganda. I hate to use that word, but there are a lot of benefits to eating a lot of animal-based foods. And so when you are thinking about doing something like the carnivore diet, first understanding what it is and which one and which approach is going to be best for you is the first place to start. And I always say to people, if this is something that you really want to entertain, get your head around it for a week, because you might want to have some, final moments with some of your favorite carby or sugary foods, and that's fine. Have a farewell to it, but get your head around it, meal prep, shop for it, remove anything in your cupboards that are going to act as temptation, because the longer that you are on this, the more benefits that you will experience. Now, there are a few reasons why this diet works so effectively for a lot of people, not just those in the fertility space. And that is one, as I mentioned before, because you are eating such a restrictive set of foods, there's so many things that you aren't eating. When you are on the carnivore diet, you are not eating processed foods. You are not eating processed carbs. You are not eating added or artificial flavorings, sugars, ingredients, nothing. You are eating so few foods that have an inflammatory response in the body that by virtue of that, you are going to lower some of the reactivity in your body. One thing that I noticed when I did the carnivore diet was that I had this kind of soreness in my knee. I had knee problems. I played competitive basketball when I was a child. And so my knee sometimes just hurts. That actually completely went away. And it was shocking to me because I was like, oh, the knee thing is gone. And it was just something that, wasn't super painful, but it was something that I noticed that went away within about a week and a half. You will also notice that your skin improves. Your inflammation will likely go down. And the reason for this is because when you are eating high animal-based foods, there is a lot of fat in those foods, especially if you're eating like beef and steak and things like that. There's a lot of fat in those foods, and fat is anti-inflammatory. And so it is going to bring your inflammation down when you're eating good sources of fat from animal products. And so you will notice that a lot of your inflammatory things just tend to go away. If you have psoriasis or eczema, you will notice that reduce or just stop flaring up. You will notice the skin on your face looks clearer than it ever did before. And again, that's two front. One, the added fats that you're eating, and two, there's nothing inflammatory that you are putting in. So you're getting all of these anti-inflammatory elements, and there's also no inflammation happening either. So it's like your inflammation goes way down very, very quickly. Like I said, there's a lot of people who also drop weight quickly on something like the animal-based diet, because many people don't realize that their weight is tied to inflammation. Their weight is likely tied to something going on from an inflammatory front, cortisol front. And so when that's not happening, even if they haven't lost in terms of numbers a dramatic amount of weight, what you notice is they look slimmer, they look thinner because there's no inflammation there. But the real reason that the carnivore animal-based diet seems to work really, really well for those on a fertility journey is because of what it does for your blood sugar. So when you are eating lots of carbohydrates, lots of fruits and things like that, and you are not eating them with your blood sugar in mind, you are having blood sugar inconsistencies, spikes and then a dip, a low blood sugar. There's so many things that can happen on your blood sugar front when you're eating a wide spectrum of food. When you are eating on the carnivore diet, because there is virtually no sugar in that diet, there's nothing that can cause a blood sugar response. And therefore your blood sugar is your curve is flat. There's no spikes, there's no dips. It just looks like a nice, beautiful flat curve. And that's what you want for your blood sugar. And that will increase your ovulatory strength. That will increase your progesterone and estrogen function. That will help with implantation. And so that is why we are seeing such beautiful results from something like the carnivore diet for women who are getting pregnant in their mid-40s by adopting a carnivore diet, or an even modified carnivore diet, a high animal-based diet, because there is very little that is going into your body that is able to cause a blood sugar fluctuation. And when your blood sugar is near stable the whole time, it means that there's been no cortisol response as a result of your blood sugar. So your inflammation is going to go way down. And when there's less cortisol in the body feels safer. The sex hormones are like being created and balanced, and everything just feels so amazing in your body because there are no inflammatory influences by virtue of how you were eating. And so that is why we are seeing wide swaths of women and men have vast improvements in their fertility by following something like a carnivore diet. It's twofold. It helps with your blood sugar and your metabolic health, which helps total body. It's like a systemic improvement, but also because of the lowered inflammation, because you are eating a lot of things that are help to lower inflammation, but you aren't eating things that cause inflammation. And on the second front, or the third front rather, is when you are eating high fat foods of an animal-based variety. Fat is what our body uses to make and balance hormones. And when you're eating a high fat diet, animal-based, your body is able to make and manage your hormones more effectively. So that is why we are seeing so many people have amazing results on the carnivore diet. If you are saying to yourself, I don't think that I could just eat animal foods for the rest of my life, you aren't alone. There's a lot of people that are averse to this diet because it just seems so restrictive. And I'd be sitting here lying to you if I said it wasn't. But there is a way to get the benefits of the carnivore diet with also a little bit more variety. And that is the animal-based diet. So full disclosure, I follow the animal-based diet. It's got a lot of carnivore influence, but there's some other things that, again, add to more variety and more nutrient and antioxidant intake, in my opinion. So the animal-based diet is as it sounds. There's a focus on animal food. So the same as the carnivore: beef, chicken, lamb, fish, full-fat dairy, eggs. You're still hydrating with water and electrolytes. That being said, on the animal-based diet, you are able to have things like berries that are low-tox fruits and vegetables, or low-tox fruits rather, meaning they don't have a lot of aggravants in them that can cause you to have a reaction. There's also so many antioxidants and vitamins and minerals we can draw upon from eating foods like berries. There's also low-tox vegetables like squash, for instance, cucumbers, peppers. What you want to remember on the animal-based diet is the vegetables that you can consume are the fruits that behave like vegetables. So peppers are actually fruit. We refer to them as vegetables. Tomatoes, vegetables. Cucumbers, vegetables. And so it's one of those things that allows you to integrate some of the things that add more variety, more flavor, more ability to sort of like chef up your life a little bit. You're not just like cooking meats and fish and chicken and eating it with butter, but also these are less likely to aggravate you in any way. If you have eczema, psoriasis, gut issues, those aren't likely to aggravate you, those low tox fruits and vegetables. And what you also notice is that you get the same results, but it doesn't feel as difficult. It doesn't feel as restrictive. Now, when I did the carnivore diet, I did it, full disclosure, for a little bit of weight loss, but I transitioned to the animal-based diet once I sort of got into a nice groove, because I felt like my body had reached a point where the inflammation was low, the cortisol was low, and then I could start to reintroduce some of my favorite things. Honestly, all I really introduced was berries and like things like zucchini and maybe cucumber every now and again, but my diet is still very much high animal-based. I also use a little bit of herbs now, and I've noticed none of the things that my body was sort of like telling me, ooh, inflammation, this, that. I've noticed none of them return as I went into the animal-based phase. And so this is an approach that you can take that will help you access a lot of the benefits of the carnivore diet while still being able to lean into some of the foods that are really good for antioxidants, phase 1 liver detox. And so the whole idea with the carnivore diet is that fruits and vegetables have irritants in them, oxalates, salicylates, etc., that can cause your body to have a reaction, especially in your gut area, which can then lead to inflammation and all kinds of bad cascading things. But when you think about the animal-based diet, it's instead focusing on the fruits and vegetables that have low toxins, meaning they are not going to have the same amount of those like reactivity things. Is that a word? How you say that? Those things that are going to make you react. That's what I'm trying to say. And so it is really important if you decide to do something like the carnivore / animal-based diet that you are listening to what your body is telling you. For some people that come from a highly inflammatory place, they might not need to be on something that's a more stricter carnivore until their inflammation is in a place that it's already not high, so that any little small tiny thing is going to make them react. And so you might need to do the carnivore diet for 2 months. And then you can add in animal foods. But you want to make sure that on all fronts, you are listening to what your body tells you. If you go full animal-based and you don't feel good, maybe ask yourself, am I doing shortcuts? Am I having bacon with a lot of salt and additives? Am I relying on sausage? Am I relying on just am I not eating enough? Because that can also happen too. Because what you will notice on the carnivore diet is because the food is so nutrient dense, beef is one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet, you don't feel like you have to eat as much. And so some people might be shorting how much they need to eat because they just feel full, they feel satisfied. And so also noting how you're sleeping, really track what's happening with your cycle as you are doing the carnivore diet, because you want to see if there's improvements or if there's any step back. For some people, because they're doing carnivore and they're not doing it thinking about the highest quality food they can consume, they're relying on things like deli meats, they're relying on, pre-made sausages. And yes, those are meat products, but all of the additives in there are still not a part of the carnivore diet. So you have to look very deeply at that. If you are doing the carnivore diet and you are allowing yourself to have full fat dairy, but you notice your body is kind of like doesn't like it, well then that is a sign to you that maybe your body is not in a place to digest that dairy in the moment, or maybe it's just not good at digesting dairy, period. But it's so important on all fronts in every facet of our lives, especially when it comes to how we eat and how we live, and especially our fertility diet and lifestyle, that we are always moving with the intel that our body is giving us real time. I can only speak for myself on this front, but when I started doing the carnivore / animal-based diets, my period has never been better. I can track my ovulation almost to the day. I can track when my period will come almost to the day. It has completely revolutionized how I feel in my body. And I think as we are aging, as we are getting older, how we feel in our body is really a sign of what might be going on internally. And because of how good I feel, it is a reflection of what's going on inside. And I think for those that are on a fertility journey and you are trying to bring all your metrics into focus and make yourself as baby friendly as possible, you cannot ignore the evidence that is showing that the carnivore diet is doing wonderful things for people. The animal-based diet is doing wonderful things for people. Now, is it because in adopting those dietary lifestyles, they are eliminating and removing so many things from their diet? Could be. Could it be all the nutrients in the animal-based / carnivore diet? Could be. I believe it is a combination of both. And I also believe that if this is something that you want to achieve and you want to fast track it, this might be something that you try. But you also have to remember that this relies so heavily on quality. If you are going to do this diet, it has to center around the quality of the food that you are consuming. Full fat dairy, single origin, beef, ground beef, chicken, fish, butter, the best quality that you can afford. And then you kind of just ebb and flow from there. But as I said before, starting with sort of like a carnivore cleanse to bring your body into balance, get your head around the diet, and then moving into something a little bit more accommodating, like a carnivore diet with more variety of animal foods, and then transitioning to animal-based as a lifestyle. I think that is the best way forward for anyone that is interested in this type of eating and living, not just to help you get and stay pregnant, but also just to help you live wonderfully and healthfully and feeling good in your body. So I hope that this has brought some light to this subject, because everybody is talking about the carnivore diet, saying it did this for them and that for them and this for them. And then there's on the other side people saying it's the most dangerous thing you'll ever try. But if you try it and it works for you, I mean, then you don't have to listen to what those people say. But if you do decide to try it, enter into this nutritional relationship with your eyes wide open, knowing exactly what the carnivore diet is, exactly how to do it, and how you can sustain these results by understanding next steps. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like it, please share, please subscribe. I love having you here, and comment. I would love to hear if you have experience with the carnivore animal-based diet in response to your life or your fertility. I would love to hear what your results have been. If you loved it, if you hate it, share it with me in the comments. And again, I hope that this information has helped you to understand what your path forward looks like. If you want some help in understanding how to get and stay pregnant, send me a comment, send me a message, get at me, and I can hopefully help. But regardless, how you eat and how you live is directly correlated to your fertility baseline, whether you're 35 plus or 45 plus. And if doing something like the carnivore diet allows you to remove a lot of bad things from your diet and add in a lot of really good things, well, I'm all for it.